Okay, first off, I just want to thank everybody for being here, either being here now live or being here later when this airs later. So, first thing I want to say is this is a ton of material. It's a lot of material that there's no possible way I could get through with this in 45 minutes or an hour, or probably even 2. And so over the next few weeks, we'll kind of be peeling away at the onion one layer at a time and really getting deeper into different parts of this presentation. I want to tell you before we get going that if you're not following Bridge City ISD on Facebook, please do. We have videos and interviews and bond quick facts, something new. 1 or 2 things every day will be hitting our Bridge City ISD website or Bridge City ISD Facebook page. So if you're on Facebook and you don't follow us, please do. If you're not a Facebooker, those same things, the videos, the interviews, the bond quick facts, those are on our bond website, bridgecityisdbond.com. You can also look on our bridgecityisd.net website. Look for information regarding upcoming community meetings, and then also a community middle school walkthrough. That's actually an idea that came through our bond website today. So please, if you have good ideas, good questions, send them to our bond website, or go to our bond website, send a question there. Again, that was something that came out of that website just today. So we do plan on doing a community middle school walkthrough to kind of highlight some of the things I'm going to be talking about here in just a second. Let's just go ahead and get started. I'm going to start at the very beginning. When I took over as superintendent, came in late March, early April, one of the things that I had to do fairly quickly was evaluate our facilities, evaluate what our facilities could hold, and just what the future was going to bring in our facilities. So these pictures right here, these are portable buildings, 2 portable buildings that house 2 classrooms apiece at the elementary campus. So our elementary campus was built in 2011. Here it is when I take over, it's 2021, so 10 years, and there's already portable buildings outside of that elementary campus. And that told me one of 2 things. One, there was some quick growth, which is typically why portable buildings are there, or 2, maybe some unexpected growth. But wherever they're there, whether it was unexpected or quick, the bottom line is they were there. And so also in looking back in 2019, the school district called for a bond for an addition to the elementary campus, and this was the exact reason right here. So part of this is a result of a failed bond in 2019, and we currently do have 4 classrooms outside of our middle school in portable buildings, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. So in looking at facilities, it doesn't matter if it's facilities or budget or whatever I'm dealing with as superintendent, there's really kind of 4 main steps to that. And so we're talking about facilities. The first thing I needed to do was determine what we had currently and also determine our needs. And the reason I have both of those steps highlighted is because I accomplished both of those, or we accomplished both of those as a team through these 2 items. The first thing we did a demographic study that was completed by Templeton Demographics. I want you to know that all of the facts presented today came out of 2 studies, a demographic study and a facility study done by outside companies. Templeton Demographics, again, has no interest in Bridge City ISD other than to help us understand what's coming down the line. And then the facility study completed by Claycomb Architects. And then what we did is we kind of married those 2 studies together, the facility study and the demographic study, and took a look at those facts and what those facts told us. And those facts told us a very, very clear story, which is why I'm standing here in front of you today. So we're going to start with the demographic study. What I'd like to point out on this slide, probably the most important thing on the entire slide, and before I get into the demographic study, the study in its entirety is on our bond website. If you go to our bond website or to bridgecityisd.net and look for the bond tab, this study is there, listed as facility study or demographic study. This is probably the most helpful document on the entire website. The Chevron Phillips chemical plant that is coming just east of us, in between us and West Orange, is projected to create 10,000 temporary jobs during construction and then 300 to 500 permanent jobs after it is complete. On top of that, we have an Entergy power plant expansion that is happening right around the same time that is going to create 7,000 temporary jobs. So on top of each other, we're going to have 17,000 temporary jobs right here in our area. And these families want to send their students to Bridge City ISD. This is a story of our home sales, or new home builds over the last, since 2013-14. As you can see, this is COVID, so 2021, there were 22 homes built. Again, these are homes built from the ground up. This is not homes sold, anything like that. These are new homes built from the ground up. So over the next 5 years, we're projected anywhere from 25 to 35 new homes from the ground up per year in Bridge City ISD. And I've got more on that here in just a second. Guys, this chart right here is probably, again, one of the most important documents that you need to spend some time looking at this. When we talk about a growing school district, which we are, and we know more are coming, the story is told in the last 3 years of enrollment and the first 3 years of enrollment. So if you look, and I've said this over and over and over, in our junior and our senior classes, those are the only 2 classes that we have in our entire school district that are below 200 students. So this year, this May, we will graduate 195 students. And next year in the high school, those 195 will be replaced with 254 students. So I'm talking about a high school that is already over capacity by about 70, 75 students. Already over the maximum capacity of that building by 70, 75 students. And next year, that's 60 added to that. So next year, we're at 130, 135 students over maximum capacity. Now, in a minute, I'm going to talk about our bonds and the proposal and CTE and some different things. If that were to happen, we're still talking August of 24, so we're still talking 2 more school years in our current buildings. The next school year, next year we'll graduate 198 students, and those students will be replaced by 236. And again, more are coming to the district, so that's just moving students across grade levels. That doesn't account for what's coming in. The other big story is 42 students more in our current kindergarten class than in last year's kindergarten class. So that right there tells a big story about what's coming to Bridge City ISD. And again, what's graduating and everything behind it shows that we are a growing school district, and that cannot be disputed. These were the key takeaways from the demographic study. The Chevron plant, again, once the Chevron and Entergy plants are complete and those 17,000 temporary jobs are gone, it's still between 320 and 520 permanent jobs added to a local workforce. We're projected to grow build 25 to 35 new homes over the next 5 years. All of these numbers that I've just showed you on student numbers, that I've showed you on houses to the district, new homes in the district, they did not include 2 things that happened, 2 developments that happened after the demographic study was completed and reported to us. 140 lots in town off of Henry that will be that are coming soon, being developed, and being told about an addition at Highway 62 and 105 with 500 homes. That is Bridge City ISD. Again, neither one of those things were in the demographic study. Fall enrollment, they had us at 3,100 students. We had 3,103. They missed it by 3 students. These guys were right on target, and they typically are. Bridge City ISD is expected to enroll more than 3,300 students in 5 years and 3,500 students by 2031. So moving on, we get into the facility study. So that was the demographic study piece. Moving into the facility study, The main thing that I want to concentrate on this slide is anything below the red line. At 40 to 50 years, a building, so when a building is 40 to 50 years old, it is significantly deteriorated. Teaching methods, curriculum, technology, all of those things have substantially changed, rendering the building functionally obsolete. At 50 plus years, a building has exceeded its useful life and should be completely renovated or abandoned. We're going to talk about those here in just a little bit. Our middle school is beyond 50 years, at 60. Again, historically, most well-constructed school buildings are considered to have useful lives ranging between 40 and 55 years. Again, we are beyond that at the middle school. This is not Bridge City ISD saying this. This is not. This is the National Center for Educational Facilities. That is where these stats are coming from. On this slide, the main things I want to pay attention to, it says that the site size is 17 acres for the current middle school. That includes all of our extracurricular fields, tennis courts, baseball, softball. That includes all of that. So this right here sits on right at 5 acres. But the 17 encompasses a lot that is not on this slide. But this is 5 acres. The other piece, 44 classrooms, and that the classroom size per TEA, the Texas Education Agency, says that those classrooms were built for 21 students per class. We have between 25 and 30 students in multiple classes at the middle school. So again, for TEA to tell us that 675 feet should be a spot that would be adequate to serve 21 students, and again, we are serving between 25 and upwards to 30 in multiple classes currently at the middle school. Some of the challenges at the middle school, they really all start with the age of the building at 60 years. The electrical, we're not talking about adding a few electrical outlets to each classroom. The load at the middle school, the middle school cannot hold the electrical load that it already has. Where a teacher warming up their food in the teacher's lounge in a microwave will flip a breaker. Where classroom equipment will flip a breaker. So we're not talking about adding electrical outlets. We're talking about the electrical load that middle school already cannot handle. It was not built for the way that we're educating students today. The plumbing is a major problem with clay pipes that are underneath the concrete. I'm going to talk about that here in just a minute. But the clay pipes and the restrooms, the plumbing continuously cause problems at the middle school. This is a picture of a mechanical room, probably the best looking mechanical room that we have in the middle school. The safety. Safety is a huge concern at the middle school. We all have badges in our school district. Everybody's got a badge. At every campus, we can get in all the exterior doors at every campus, except for the middle school, because the system is not feasible. The system cannot be put into the middle school. So at any time, our technology director at the admin building across town from 2 of our campuses, at any time can push a button on her computer that locks down every exterior door in the entire district at the push of a button if there is an emergency. We cannot do that at the middle school campus. It's not feasible, and it's not possible. Communication is an issue. I'll talk about that in a minute because of the cinder block walls, and the Wi-Fi signal and the cellular signal. We'll talk about that. The open courtyard during weather, when students are going to band, when they're going to the gym, when they're going to cafeteria, when they go to their dance practice in the cafeteria or theater practice on the stage. If there are any weather events, if it is raining, that courtyard will get flooded, the water drips in on students. They cannot go from the main building to those places without getting wet and then spending the rest of their day in those clothes. Technology we'll talk about in a minute, and then items that cannot be fixed properly. You know, we are working on a list. Several people have asked about, well, what is the upkeep on that building? And we want to know everything that you're doing and what those costs are. And let me just explain that not everything is fixable. There is Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid. For instance, in one of these, it may be this mechanical room, it may be another one. We've had a drain that has folded in on itself. It's a clay pipe drain. It's folded in on itself. We cannot fix that the right way. To fix that the right way, you're talking about chiseling out the concrete, getting to that pipe, getting to the plumbing, and then you don't just connect PVC to clay pipe. And so where does that end? Where does that end? It doesn't. And that's the problem with renovation, is you don't know what you're getting into until you get into it. And so what we have done in there is we've taken an old gutter, a piece of guttering that we had sitting behind the maintenance shop, and we've run it from one drain, and the water that's draining in, should be draining into that drain, is hitting that gutter, running about 10, 15 feet across the floor, and going to the drain that's still in operation. What did that cost us? It was a gutter that we already had and probably 5 minutes of our time. It's hard to put a cost on that. But it's not fixed the right way, and it can't be fixed the right way. And it's Band-Aid after Band-Aid like that happens because of the building materials in the middle school. We talked about this a second. The main part of this is the middle school is concrete block walls. You can see that 75% of cellular and Wi-Fi signals are knocked out because of concrete walls. And so communication in that building is a major issue. These are just here for some perspective. Guys, I want you to think about how the world has changed since these events. Since Marilyn Monroe, since Beatlemania, since Johnson signed the Civil Rights Bill, since we landed on the moon. And all of these events have happened after that middle school was built. And you know, we've talked, I heard just the other day, we are 60 years away from this. If you go 60 years the other way, these kids were in a one-room schoolhouse, in the first schoolhouse in Bridge City. So if folks in 1960, the bottom line is we're the same distance away from 1960 as the folks in 1960 were from a one-room schoolhouse. Just like education changed from the one-room schoolhouse to here, it has changed from here to 2022. Now, some of these, again, renovations at the middle school. We're not talking about adding some electrical outlets to the walls or changing a few ceiling tiles. We're talking major renovations to get the middle school in a place that we can take our teaching and our learning to another level because of curriculum, resources, all the things going on in the middle school that we need to properly educate our students. Our science labs, we have 2 science labs that have no gas going to them because those gas lines have corroded, so our gas has been turned off. Career and technology education that has been added to the middle school. We have a wood shop class that is taught. It's taught in a regular classroom inside the building, but anytime they want to do any sort of projects, hands-on activities, they run an extension cord out the end of the building, outside, into the weather. Hopefully it's good weather and they get to participate in that activity for the day. The library in the current middle school is just not big enough for a middle school library. It would be really nice to have a science, technology, engineering, math, or a STEM lab, maker space, somewhere where they can get in there, use their hands, create, manipulate, and build, where their imagination can just go. And so that, again, not happening in our current library space. Choir, robotics, theater, BCTV, which is our audiovisual program at the middle school campus, those are taught out of regular classrooms. Choir and theater compete for time on a stage in the cafeteria when there are no students in the cafeteria eating lunch. We have one gymnasium at the middle school that boys and girls currently share all day long, whether it's athletics, pre-athletics, physical education, special education, physical education classes. The locker rooms over in that area are outdated. They're small, they're inefficient. Band, our students travel to a high school band hall so they can have enough room to work together to practice. The cafeteria, students are very crowded. It does not hold a large population of students or visitors. And then functional academics is a big one, guys. This is our special education classes where we are trying to teach basic life skills to students that need these basic life skills and will need them for life. Their only access to kitchen equipment is in the cafeteria. A washer, dryer, shower, that's in the cafeteria. That's not even in their classroom, which it should be. Many days students are not able to use the washer and dryer because they're sharing that with cafeteria staff. The lunch lines are too small for wheelchairs and walkers to get through. Again, the classroom outlets are limited. We can't add them, but the bottom line is any students with physical or speech or visual disabilities that need those outlets for their accommodating devices and equipment, again, we just don't have the load that can handle that. And then the classroom has one restroom facility. And so it really needs separate restrooms in that classroom. Now again, I'm going to get to renovation here in just a minute, basically renovation versus rebuild. And I want you to keep these things in mind. These are the renovation things that we are talking about to get that middle school where we need it to be. And I realize I'm going very quickly, but I'm trying to get through this, have a little bit of time left over for questions. And remember, this is going to stay up on Facebook. You'll be able to go back, pause, reflect, and it'll be there forever. So we'll move on to the high school. I've already talked about a high school that's over capacity by 75 students. Here we are at current enrollment of 850, probably can't see that. What I want to focus on, number of classrooms, 49, and again, 850 students, so already over the maximum capacity of our high school. Here we are at our high school. The maximum capacity of that building is the black dashed line across the top. That's 25 students to a teacher in a classroom. We're already above that, and you can see that the trajectory is not slowing down anytime soon. So that's what we're facing at the high school. At the high school, we also have a growing CTE program. We have 18 different endorsement paths. Our welding and construction programs have over 200 students, and health science and engineering programs have over 100 students. Those programs would have more students if we had the place to house them. We don't have the facilities, the adequate facilities to house these students, and we're turning away students out of these valuable career and technology education programs because we simply don't have the room. Now, again, in 2019, along with that elementary addition I talked about earlier, another thing that was on the bond was a career and technology building. If it was a need in 2019, I can assure you that it isn't a need now for sure. Our full-time students in CTE classes have increased from 267 to 349 since 2019. I'm not going to read all this, but these are all the programs that the district has added to CTE since 2019. Also since 2019, we've added a third shop teacher, a third family consumer science teacher. Students in our shop classes alone have increased from 62 students to 223 students in our shop classes in 3 years. We've expanded our LSCO partnership to include pharmacology, process operating, instrumentation, maritime science, EMT, nursing, criminal justice with cosmetology coming soon. We now use classroom space at the high school. We use a science lab. We use a storage building to accommodate our CTE classes. And we have removed welding booths out of our metal shop, welding shop, to make more room for some larger tools in those areas. So the results of the facility study, the middle school has outlasted its lifespan. There is a capacity issue at the high school campus. The high school career and technology facilities are inadequate. BCISD's facilities must be increased to be able to service the student growth, and the elementary campus needs to be expanded to take in the 2 portable buildings or 4 classrooms and be modified to accommodate current and future program capacity. So with the facts of the demographic study and the facts of the facility study, it is a very, very clear story. And so the next step is determine what are the most efficient solutions. So I started here with the middle school, and these are just questions I think I asked myself, and I think we need to ask ourselves as a community. Are we better off putting our tax dollars toward repairing and maintaining our current middle school, or would it be more wise to tear it down, build a new campus with the latest technology and equipment to prepare our students for careers of the future? And at what point is it irresponsible to keep investing in a campus that multiple facility studies have proven that the campus has exceeded its useful life? Not Bridge City ISD, multiple, now 3 different facility studies done by 3 different companies have said it's time for that middle school to go. It has exceeded its useful life. Get rid of it and start over. So why does the cost of renovation, you know, when we on our sheet we say that the renovation cost is about 80% of a new building, and I'm going to tell you here in a minute it's actually closer to 87%, and I'm going to show you why. But it really is all about code thresholds. And if you think about all those things I listed earlier, from the media center to the cafeteria to the science labs to functional academics, and there were others, guys, that is for sure more than 50% of the building. Whatever portion of the building that is being renovated, again, this has nothing to do with a dollar amount. I've seen that people think it has to do with how much money you spend. It has nothing to do with how much money you spend. It has to do with the area or the square footage that you're renovating. Whatever is being renovated, whether you're modifying doors, windows, walls, that must be brought up to current code, including handicap code. And when the work area exceeds 50% of the building, which our work area would no doubt exceed 50% of that building, the entire building must comply with all codes. Now, I just told you about renovation cost. Renovation cost on the middle school are around $30 million, okay? In a second, we'll talk about the bond proposal at Proposition A of $57.7 million for a middle school. But on top of that $30 million, we've got $10.6 million in portable buildings. These renovations, the renovation list that I just went through, there's no possible way that those renovations could be done on weekends or over a summer like some have alluded to. There's no possible way. Our faculty, our staff, our principals, our counselors, our teachers, we are hosting summer school. Our 226-day employees essentially get about a week and a half off in the summer. That is what their summer is. And other than that, we're educating students, we're finishing up a school year, or we're getting ready to educate students in another school year. So to say that those renovations could happen over the summer or over a weekend, not possible. And so we have to get students out of those buildings. So to get students out of that building for 2 years and get them into 30 portable buildings, which, by the way, I'm working extremely hard to get rid of 2 portable buildings right now. Adding 30 to that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. For portable buildings that we're going to have for 2 years that bring up safety and security issues because students are in and out all day long, that are not the best place to educate students, for $10.6 million of our taxpayers' money, I don't think we need to look any further past what the renovation cost of that building would be, because $10.6 million for portable buildings that we're just going to give back after 2 years makes absolutely zero financial sense for the school district or for the taxpayers of the school district. But again, this is 30 portable buildings for 2 years while we do the renovations, $10.6 million. So now we get into current projects, and guys, this is really where it gets a lot of fun here. This is a bird's eye view of our current elementary campus. And I just talked about the portable buildings. They sit right here. There's 2 portable buildings with 2 classrooms in each. So what we are doing, and I'm going to tell you how we're doing it. This addition is going to cost approximately $4.5 million. We have written grants for $2.1 million of that money. So nearly half of what the addition is going to cost. Our district and our business office has worked hard to write grants to do everything we can to save this community money and to do everything we can to do this in the most economical way that we can. So $2.4 million will come out of our fund balance. $2.1 million is coming from grant money. And this is what it's going to look like, and this will start this summer. I'll zoom in here. What we are doing is we are adding, let me go back. We are adding 6 classrooms that come off of the kindergarten wing, and this is going to be our new pre-K wing. So our pre-K students are going to have their own wing, which opens up the pre-K wing currently for other programs and other classes. The other thing I want you to notice is we're going to have a secure gate right here, and all of these students and teachers will be able to get out of this corridor and get into their own playground, so that the pre-K students will have a play yard that is 100% contained by building. Okay, so obviously a much safer setup than we have right now for our students in their current pre-K playground. That is what it is, kind of blown up. All of these classrooms will look exactly like the classrooms that are currently in the building. The exterior will look exactly like the exterior of the building. This will look like it was built from the very beginning. You will not be able to see a change. We do lose 1 kindergarten classroom right here because there's a corridor that we need to have to get into the new pre-K wing. What that does is that cuts that room off close in half. We'll have a little bit more space in this. It's called a breakout room. But what that is, the majority of our speech students are in pre-K or in kindergarten. So we figure this is going to be a great small group pull-out area, a workspace for our speech teachers, speech path with our pre-K and kindergarten students. The other thing we're doing some interior renovations. Now I know you've probably heard a little bit about a $4 million maintenance tax note. I want to be very clear here that $4 million maintenance tax note can and will be used on the interior renovations of the elementary campus. A maintenance tax note cannot add any square footage to a campus. As soon as you add 5 feet, you cannot use a maintenance tax note. A maintenance tax note can only be used on the interior of a building. And the maintenance tax note, by the way, is how we're paying for another project I'll tell you about in a minute. But that $4 million maintenance tax note, you can see a classroom here on the pre-K wing that is being turned into 3 different learning spaces for ESL, dyslexia, and our psychologist and other folks in here. So, and then the other thing we're doing is we're turning the portion of the front of the nurse's office, putting a wall in there and turning that into 2 small group workspaces or pull-out rooms for educating smaller groups of students. And then also on the kindergarten wing, all kindergarten classrooms have their own restrooms. For whatever reason, when the building was built, the first 2 classrooms in that hallway did not. So we are adding restrooms to those first 2 classes in the kindergarten wing, but also back to the growth. We are spilling over into the first grade wing that they have community restrooms already, but we're spilling over in here and we're doing restrooms in the first 2 classes there. In case a kindergarten class needs to spill over into that hallway, they will have the exact same setup as their counterparts in the hallway next door. So again, that is a $4.5 million project with nearly half of it, $2.1 million, coming from grant money from our hard-working business office and grant writers here in the district, and the other $2.4 million coming out of fund balance. Then we move over to the other side of town, just to kind of orient you a little bit, here's the high school, the middle school, and then our extracurricular facilities here. When we talk about the need for a CTE center, really the only places we have to build on this side of town and land that we already own is across the street from the middle school or behind the high school. So when we talk about building our CTE center or wing or building, we're talking about this space in here that these are practice fields. These are fields used for PE, for strutters, for football, soccer, again, just physical education classes. That is what's all over these fields all day long. And so what we did is we moved on to an athletic, extracurricular, let me go back, redoing our field here, making that field a turf surface so that students would always, once we take up this green space, students will always have a spot to go regardless of the weather, that they can go for PE, for athletics, for strutters, for band, for cheer, all of those, for soccer, all those organizations that use these spots will now be able to use this spot regardless of the weather. That is where the idea of the athletic, the extracurricular renovations came from. These pictures were taken yesterday. These are our brand new tennis courts, 4 tennis courts that all we did, and again, we used a maintenance tax note because we used to have 4 tennis courts sitting here that were in terrible, terrible shape, pulled those up and put 4 brand new ones down. So we didn't add anything to it, so we were able to use a maintenance tax note. So again, that maintenance tax note is going to these extracurricular renovations, but also to the interior renovations at the elementary campus. The other piece, and again, these were taken yesterday as well, is the field. And you'll see that, in fact, you'll see they're still, as of yesterday, they're working. They're putting in the green pellets that make our field softer, safer, and keep it a lot cooler than the black pellets. We took every measure we could on this field to get it safer for our student athletes. And so, again, this was as of yesterday. This is as of yesterday. So, to make room for the CTE building, that is where this came from. And I want to tell you that there are folks that have said that this maybe shouldn't be done or even that it's a waste. And I want to tell you that every school year, our high school administrators do a survey at the end of the school year. They ask their students, their graduating seniors, how many of you from the 9th grade to your senior year, so they don't even ask about middle school, which middle school uses these facilities as well. How many of you from your 9th grade to your senior year participated in athletics, strutters, cheer, choir, theater, other extracurricular activities? Last year's answer was 97%. 97% of our graduating seniors participated in events that take place in this complex and in other complexes. Okay? When 97% of our graduating students use these facilities, I hardly consider that a waste. I think it's money well spent, just like this was money well spent. Our band used to practice in the marsh field across from the middle school. They would get their school clothes, their pants, their shoes drenched at the beginning of the day, and that is how they were expected to go be educated for the rest of the day. And so what we did was we put asphalt here on this parking lot outside our baseball, softball complex, and you can see that we lined it with a field, and so they can go there, and they can march, and they can stay dry, and they can not have to worry about ruining their shoes, ruining their pants, and going back to class with wet feet for the rest of the day. Now, we'll get into the bond proposals. This is where it really gets fun because there are renderings. I know in the past people have asked, where's it going to be? How much is it going to be? You're not giving us these answers. From the very, very beginning of this entire process, the district has been nothing but transparent, open and honest, and has answered every question directed at us from the community. And that has been the goal the whole time, is that by early voting, by April 25th and by May 7th, we have an educated community that can go in and make an informed decision about the future of the school district. So on our bond proposals, again, these are kind of 6, just if you took all those facts I've talked to you about up to this point, how did this bond come about? The growth. We're projected to grow over 400 students the next 10 years. The current middle school is approximately 60 years old. We've talked over and over about the challenges with safety, security, state curriculum, technology, energy efficiency. Renovating and adding to the current middle school would cost approximately 80%. Again, you throw in the $10.6 million for the portable buildings, we're at 87% of a new facility. So could this bond proposal could have had a C, renovate the middle school. But to ask for 87% of the funds that it would take to build a brand new middle school made absolutely no sense. Number 4, enrollment in career and technology has greatly increased. I think that fact was very, very clear. Many CTE courses are currently being held in regular classrooms with inadequate resources. And a new CTE facility, it's really twofold, because what it does in our overcrowded classes and in our overcrowded high school, we are able to move 8 of our classrooms out of our current high school into the CTE building and automatically, just like that, increase the capacity of that school by more than 200 students. So not only does it give us the facilities that we need to educate the students, again, it's twofold. It makes our high school bigger, our program capacity, and increases that by 200 students right off the bat. Proposition A. This is a middle school campus. I want you to know that Proposition A and Proposition B are 2 totally separate propositions that can be voted on separately. Proposition A, $57.7 million, located directly across the street from the current campus on district-owned land. That's very important. On our fact sheet, this is our fact sheet. On our fact sheet it says 900 student capacity. Also very important. This campus that we're proposing is for 1,104 students. Where does the 900 come from? That is what we look at, the efficiency of the building on a regular school day. We have teachers that have conference periods, so not every class is being taken up at the same time. The other thing is, not every class is going to have 22 or 25 students. Depending on the class and the equipment used in that class, there may only be 10 students in that classroom. This school is built for 1,104 students, equipped with and upgraded with safety and security features, the latest technology and infrastructure, and space for all programs, including a media center, cafeteria, fine arts, CTE classes, science labs, athletics. I'm going to show you what it's kind of proposed to look like. And we're going to talk about some major differences in the current school and in this school. You can see admin offices, cafeteria, kitchen, media center or library, academics, electives, fine arts. And then I will turn it around. Again, this is kind of the back or the front of the library, a competition gym, a practice gym. So there are 2 gymnasiums proposed in this. Important to note that this practice gym is set to be 7,400 square feet. So we'll talk about that in a minute. And then the back, the very back, is a 3-story academic wing, 6th grade on the bottom, 7th grade, and then 8th grade up top. I will tell you as a parent, I love the fact that a 6th grade student is going to be with 6th grade students all day long, 7th grade same way, 8th grade same way. Academic wing is outfitted with lockers. That has been a question that has been asked multiple times. It is outfitted with lockers. Let me talk about some major differences in the 2 buildings. The current middle school is right at 131,000 square feet. This one is proposed to be 160,000 square feet. The current library is 3,600 square feet. This library is projected to be 6,200 square feet. There's 1 gymnasium of 12,900 square feet at the current middle school. The two gymnasiums are proposed to be 12,900 square feet, so the same size, plus a practice gym of 7,400 square feet. The band hall from 2,500 square feet, which is way too small, to 3,500 square feet, plus an ensemble room. The current middle school has two non-functioning science labs that I've talked about. This one has 6 fully functioning science labs, 2 on each story, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8. This campus has 3 computer labs, 1 on each academic floor, a life skills classroom complete with kitchenette, laundry, separate restrooms, showers, changing facilities, and dedicated space for art, choir, science, technology, engineering, math, principles of manufacturing, audio-visual, family consumer science, money manners, theater, dance, and cheer. All have dedicated classroom space in here. Proposition B, CTE Center, $14.7 million. Hang with me, we are getting really close to the end. Located right behind the middle school campus, high school campus, alleviates the crowded classrooms, we've talked about that, allows for continued growth in our programs, and houses metal shop, wood shop, engineering, family consumer science, certified nursing assistant, flower factory, audio visual. Let me show you what that looks like. For those of you that are familiar with this side of town, what you'll notice is all of these exterior buildings for Strutters, for choir, for DAEP, for flower factory, all of those outside buildings are gone. Those buildings are, I think, 1950, constantly doing things on the roof. Again, safety and security measures. What this proposal does, gets every student out of these and either into here or into the high school. So now all of our students are under one roof, which is much, much better for safety and security. This houses, again, family consumer science classes here, audio-visual lab. This area here called Commons has office space for the teachers in this area. It has changing rooms for faculty. It has locker rooms for students so they don't walk into a metal shop or go paint in the clothes that they wore to school and just walk straight out in there. Even if they want to throw on some coveralls or change really quickly, those locker rooms will provide a great spot to do that. The flower factory gets moved in here, piano classroom, criminal justice, nursing classrooms, wood classrooms, metal classrooms, and engineering. Now, this is where it gets really exciting. It shows you how it all fits together. You can see here that all of those portable buildings behind our high school are gone. The existing gym, I do need to go back and explain that. The existing gym stays. That gym that we call our PE gym or our older gym, that stays in this proposal. And the band hall stays and the field house or the weight room stays. But everything else now, here is CTE tied to the high school. Here's the new middle school. And here is the existing gymnasium from the middle school that stays and the existing library from the middle school that stays and becomes our new DAEP or our alternative campus. So that's what that turns into. Parking, DAEP, existing gym, middle school, and everything else on that side. Last thing I want to talk about is taxes, and this is very quick. I think we've got 4 slides and we're finished. Proposition A is the middle school is 16 cents on your INS taxes. Proposition B for the CTE is 5 cents, and together that's 21 cents. This is just a little chart here. I know you may have seen it. There's a chart out there that goes up to $1 million. I get it. There are folks that live in $1 million homes, and we know that. What that chart that is out there floating around, what's missing, it's missing 2 key components. One is that if you are the age of 65 or over and you make 0 home improvements, then your taxes are frozen, and you need to contact the Orange County Appraisal District, and the district will help you with that as well. We have put out quick facts about that, where to go, how to fill out that paperwork, but if you're over 65 or over, then and make 0 home improvements, then your taxes are frozen. The other piece that's missing is the average home in Bridge City ISD is $183,000, which would fall right in here if both proposals were to pass. The average home in Bridge City ISD, it would be a $25 per month. That is the effect on that home. That is why it's very, very important for you to use our tax calculator that's located on our bond website. This QR code will take you to that bond website. Use our bond calculator and understand that the figures that it shows you are assuming that propositions A and B pass. So when you get those numbers, that is assuming A and B are passing. The last thing I want to say about taxes is, when would this happen? If these bonds were to pass on May 7th, it's not like May 8th, boom, 21 cents and here we go. First off, the earliest it would happen is September 1 of 2022. The other thing is, depending on how these bonds are structured, depending on what we are able to get done in the first year or in the second year or the third year, those taxes would not all have to kick in right at once. It could be 5 cents in the first year. It could be 8 cents in the second year, and the last 8 cents in the third year. All 21 cents won't happen overnight. They don't happen May 8th. The earliest that any impact would happen is September 1st. This is just where and when. You can go back and look at this. Early voting is on the left. These are the dates. These are the places. And election day is May 7th, and here are the places by precinct. The last step is determine when to begin. And so let me just show you why this is very, very important. If these bonds were to pass on May 7th, the first 6 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, would take all the way until mid-November. So then you're not even getting into construction until probably December of 22, building for about 600 days, and opening the new campus on August of 24. So even if this were to happen at the end of this school year, we have 2 full school years left in our current buildings. And that's how portable buildings happen, because if you're not ahead of them, it's here and it's too late. So we got to be thinking ahead. Our current interest rates are great, rising construction costs. In 2019, when this went out for a bond, this exact same middle school was $195 a square foot. Today, it's $288 a square foot. Again, this is from Durotech. This is not Bridge City ISD. This is showing rising construction costs with no reason to think that they're not going to continue to rise. This is our current bond debt in our district, $12.2 million. We are one of the few schools in the entire state of Texas that can say we have more money in our fund balance than we have in total bond debt. We have received a perfect 100 on our financial rating for 5 straight years. Our board does an incredible job managing the money that comes to us, and continuously has done more with less. From 2011 to now, the tax rate has either stayed the same or has dropped all the way from $1.19 to $1.01 currently. Continuously doing more with less. This is the current tax rate of Bridge City ISD. The lowest around, and there are other schools I could add to this list, we'd be in the same spot. If Proposition A were to pass, which is the middle school, that would bring our tax rate to $1.17. Still puts us here in the middle of the list. We still have a neighbor to the east and a neighbor to the northeast that are 12 and 17 cents higher than we would be at that point. If Proposition B passes only, this is the Career and Technology Education building, we still would have the lowest tax rate anywhere in the area. This is with Proposition B passing, we are still the lowest tax rate in the entire area. If both were to pass, that brings us to $1.22, again, 7 cents less than our neighbors to the east, and 12 cents less than our neighbors to the northeast. Bridge City ISD is a phenomenal school district. We can, again, continuously do more, expect more, and we do it with less. And so, again, I know that we went quick. That was almost an hour. I can't believe that was almost an hour. I hope you hung with me. If you did not, you can go back. This will be there for you to watch in the future. Do we have any questions that have come through that you think I could answer at this time?
We don't have any questions just yet. The questions are on about a 5-second delay, so we'll hold off for just 1 second and see if any questions come in that we can answer right this second. We've got some thank yous coming up. Lots of great comments. Wonderful to see all that positivity. Thank you guys for showing your support.
Guys, thank you for tuning in with us. Thank you for your support of Bridge City ISD. Let me go back to, let me see if it's on there. I can't remember if the bottom of our fact sheet was on here. Kind of pointed the wrong way. There it is. If you have further questions about the bond, BridgeCityISDBond.com. Present your questions there. Call me in the office, guys, from the very beginning. All I have wanted to do is make sure that the community has all the information that they need to make an informed decision by early voting time and by May 7th. I hope that you find this informing and understand, please, that we will dive deeper into certain portions of this and kind of peel one layer of the onion away at a time in the future. And we got plenty of time to make sure that everybody has all their questions answered by early voting.
Okay, we do have one question that came in, and I can answer this for you. The question is, will this be on YouTube for those that are not on Facebook? The answer is yes. We do have a Bridge City ISD YouTube page. Once this live video posts to the Facebook page, we will get that posted to our YouTube page as quickly as possible. And I will ask that YouTube link is added to our bond website at www.bridgecityisdbond.com. That way it is easily accessible for you.
All right. Thank you very much. Go Big Red.